Oscar Wilde was born in Dublin on October 16, 1854, to Dr. William Wilde and his wife, Jane Francesca Elgee. Oscar Wilde would go on to Trinity College in Dublin, where he read classics, and later he would go on to study in the Magdalen College in Oxford. At Oxford, Wilde began writing works of poetry, later went on to write plays, essays, a novel. Some of his more famous works include The Importance of Being Earnest, Salome, Dorian Gray. But one thing that we, in history, have had a hard time keeping track of is his wit. He's known as a great conversationalist, and yet, so few of it exists outside of his works. All we get is hearsay. Pieces that we collect from his novels, his plays, his essays, some aphorisms, but really, we can't really get his conversation like we might have if we had been there. One of his more famous works, The Picture of Dorian Gray, features a character, Lord Henry, who we might consider as the mouthpiece for Wilde. Here's a short clip about that.
Picture could change, and I could be always what I am now. For that I would give everything. There's nothing in the whole world I would not give. I would give my soul for that.
The vain jealousy which prompted Dorian Gray to utter this fateful prayer was destined to sweep him into a life so fraught with vice and evil that its marks became horrible to behold. For the mad wish of Dorian Gray was granted through some supernatural miracle. And day by day he watched his sins etch themselves upon his painted portrait, while he himself stayed young and handsome. Every vile thought and act, every criminal deed, left its mark upon the painted canvas that was to bear the burden of his shame. Down to depths of degradation frightful to conceive went Dorian Gray, seeking new outlets to satisfy his passion for pleasure. His extraordinary visits into the strange world of crime and sin became notorious. And when he reappeared again in society, men would whisper to each other in corners or look at him with searching eyes. Women, who for his sake had set convention at defiance, were seen to grow pale if Dorian Gray entered the room. What was this strange fascination this man held for everybody? To what limits of evil did he drag those he knew? Men and women alike, all fell under the spell of his charm, and yet to know him was to court shame and disaster.
Wilde, like Dorian, had a fall, got caught up in all sorts of scandal, and went to prison for indecency. He wrote a poem about the conditions called The Ballad of Reading Gaul. This is the only voice recording we have of Wilde.
The Ballad of Reading Gaul. Reading Gaol by reading time, there is a picture of the deep lies of wicked men, eaten by the feet of slaves. A burning, winding, sleepy life, and his grave got no name. No need to waste the foolish tale of beneath the windy sky. The man had killed what he loved, and so he had to die.
Aside from the wit remaining in his novels, essays, and the like, there's little documentation that remains, but some, in contemporary times, have taken up the call.
He comes out and he says, with your kind permission, I should like to read you a poem. Well, that is to say, it is a poem committed to memory. And the reason it is committed to memory is due to the fact that I wrote it. Yes, I have all of my poems committed to memory, with the exception of La Belladonna della Mia Mente, which is uncommittable. I have chosen The Harlot's House, a title I trust will not disappoint you. The Harlot's House. We caught the tread of dancing feet. We loitered down the moonlit street and stopped beneath the harlot's house. Inside, above the din and fray, we heard the loud musicians play the Treues Liebesherz of Strauss. Like strange mechanical grotesques making fantastic arabesques, the shadows raced across the blind. We watched the ghostly dancers spin to sound of horn and violin, like black leaves wheeling in the wind. Like wire-pulled automatons, slim silhouetted skeletons went sidling through the slow quadrille, then took each other by the hand and danced a stately saraband. Their laughter echoed thin and shrill. Sometimes a clockwork puppet pressed a phantom lover to her breast. Sometimes they seemed to try and sing. Sometimes a horrible marionette came out and smoked its cigarette upon the steps like a live thing. Then turning to my love, I said, the dead are dancing with the dead. The dust is whirling with the dust. But she heard the violin and left my side and entered in. Love passed into the house of lust. Then suddenly the tune went false. The dancers wearied of the waltz. The shadows ceased to wheel and whirl. And down the long and empty street, the dawn, with silver-sandaled feet, crept like a frightened child. Pretty good stuff.
Beautiful, yes. Wonderful.
Actor Vincent Price played Wilde in a 1978 production of Diversions and Delights, a play which supposes that Wilde, after his exile, after his scandal, comes to the stage one last time to wow the crowd with his wit and wile. And this play, to a large extent, seems to put us in touch with Wilde's wit, even from beyond the grave. And the verbal cadence that Vincent Price produces seems, at least as far as we can tell, much like Wilde would have done it himself. The play ran from April 12th to the 22nd in 1978. It was written by John Gray and directed by Joseph Hardy. Here's a small clip of Vincent, or Wilde, in Diversions and Delights.
There will be no secret here this evening. You know perfectly well who I am. You have come to see Oscar Wilde in The Wicked Lesson. If I appear to you to be less than the Prince of Darkness, have no misgivings. For I promise not to lead you astray into the paths of virtue. But the Prince of Darkness, what else would you have me be? Dirty, drunken, debauched? This rather large figure of notoriety. Go ahead, look at me. You may stare. I am yours for the evening as such. A towering scandal. I must inform you, however, that scandals are related only to the hatred of the people who invent them, not those attacked. Thoughts for the evening, my dear public, as we proceed. Now, I must admit that it is rather disturbing to discover that one's published works are no longer identified by one's name. The importance of being earnest, an ideal husband, the picture of Dorian Gray. All these now bear the title Mother of Lady Windermere Span. It's true, even Lady Windermere Span by the author of Lady Windermere Span. Well, so much for fame, or should I say, infamy. Tell me frankly, do I appear to you to be a little overdressed. But I atone for that by being immensely overeducated. And as for secrecy, I have come to like it. Indeed, even the commonest things can become delightful if one only hides them. We have here a double deception. This glass of water was actually meant to be a glass of absinthe, thus deceiving you. It is, however, a glass of water, thus deceiving me. Où est l'absinthe? Vous avez promis de l'absinthe. Où est-elle? Prévu de l'absinthe immédiatement, s'il vous plaît. Why, only yesterday in the street I heard a fellow say, "There goes that bloody fool, Oscar Wilde." Isn't it extraordinary how soon one gets to be known? Oh, but I do adore your city. There were suggestions, well meant, I'm sure, that after my prison sentence I would do well to retire to Venice. Venice with its